Welcome back. So the Rwandan General Elections set for tomorrow will be a pivotal event in the nation's political landscape. Incumbent President Paul Kagame is seeking re-election amid a tightly controlled political environment. Kagame, who has led Rwanda since the year 2000, faces opposition candidates in an election process that's under scrutiny. While the Rwandan government promises a fair election, concerns about political freedoms, opposition participation and electoral fairness do persist. Let's speak now to one of the presidential candidates and to opposition leaders, Dr Frank Habineza of the Democratic Green Party. Dr Habineza, a good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us tomorrow, that all-important day that you have been campaigning towards. I think I'd really like to start with what the campaigning process has looked like in Rwanda in the run-up to these elections, and if you feel that you have been given a fair platform to campaign and speak to your electorate.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, we have been campaigning for the last 3 weeks. We had 21 days actually for campaigning, and we've been able to move through the whole country in all the 30 districts of the country. I would say that this election has been a bit different from the previous election in 2017 because people, I think, as I've observed, they are more politically mature. And we have been able to be received wherever we went by district authorities, district mayors, were able to welcome us, and vice mayors and executive secretaries in different areas. So we see that it was quite different, that people are more understanding this time than it was before. And we were able also to get a lot of big crowds because we do rallies here, but also do street campaigns. People are receiving us on the streets and everywhere, and even confirming that they vote for us. So I would say that it was quite a different election, and it's giving us much hope.
Yeah, I mean, this is your second time running for the position of president of Rwanda. The first time was, of course, in 2017 when you came out with, 0.48% of the vote. Do you feel that that number could improve in 2024?
I would say that this is my third election, because the first election was 2017, when I was running for president, but also in 2018 I also ran again for parliament, where I won a seat. My party won 2 seats in parliament in the lower house, and so I've been a parliamentarian for the last 6 years. So to win a seat in parliament required us to get 5% of the national vote. So I would say that for me I shifted from the 0.4% 2017 to 5% of the national vote in 2018. So this makes me to believe more that it will be much better this time, because I've been very active in parliament as an opposition leader, and we have delivered so much that most of our campaign promises have been achieved over 70%. So we have had a very significant impact on the lives of people of Rwanda. So I'm hopeful that this election will be much better.
Yeah, and then of course the other person who's running for the position of president is a former journalist who previously got 0.7% of the election results. And there is a sense that up against President Kagame, that of course being Philip Mbayimana, who's 54 years old, a former journalist. There is, of course, the sense that it really is going to be very difficult to remove President Paul Kagame of the Rwandan Patriotic Front. But what are the issues that you feel under his leadership since the year 2000 simply have not been dealt with well in Rwanda?
Your volume is a little bit down, so I don't know if I'm getting you well. But I think if you're asking me about my key promises, I'll put
you can do that for us. But to the changes that you want to see, that you feel that under the leadership of President Paul Kagame simply have not been given enough attention in Rwanda. Yes,
my first key priority is on the justice sector, because our party is also standing on social justice. So we have a lot of issues with the court system here, and a lot of illegal detention centers, which they call transit centers here, where people are held and put in detention facilities for more than a year without trial. So this is one of the key concerns that I have, that I'm going to scrap these illegal detention centers in September, because most of the young people have been detained there, calling them that they are loitering around, or calling them prostitutes or whatever. Even some elders are also put there if they find them dirty or whatever in the rural areas. So this is the first concern that we have, that we're going to scrap them completely, to ban them. in the whole country. Two, also have what we call the provisional detention of 30 days of pre-trial, where people are provisionally detained for 30 days in prisons, but they end up staying there even for 3, 4 years, 5 years without trial. And once tried, they find them innocent, but they've been staying in prison for over 2 years. So this is something which is a big outcry in the whole country, whereby the investigation authorities do not do their job very well, by investigating to find out that they put people in prison with enough evidence. So most of the crimes, they are like petty crimes, which are tried, and you find that people are quite innocent. So we're going to scrap that, but also establish a justice compensation fund, whereby the people who have been imprisoned and found they're innocent, they're going to be compensated by the state, but also the state officers who have been illegally detaining people, we're going to make sure that they pay back this money. So this is one of the key priorities that we have. We also have a big stand on the economy of the country, because we have a very high unemployment rate in Rwanda of about 25% among the young people. So this, we are going to solve the problem of unemployment and lift our economy by establishing agro-processing industries in the rural areas, in every sector in the country. The sector is the second administrative level, whereby that we will establish these industries, the processing industries, people will be able to have jobs. But also we're going to establish a Rwanda Agricultural Support Fund. This Agricultural Support Fund will also have an office at the sector level where people can easily access financing to venture into agricultural projects, even animal rearing projects. We here want to make sure that even every family in Rwanda should be able to have a small livestock, like I'm talking about chicken, rabbits, goats, and so on. So this to scrap problems of poverty, but also cause employment, and the interest rate here will be less than 2%. We have a big program that we are going to make sure that we have also food security, because we're relying on food imports from India, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, the rice, even from Tanzania. So we don't have enough food. So we're going to put up a big program on our culture to make sure that we have enough food in the country. And on security, maybe that's also very important, because Rwanda has been having security and foreign affairs issues with neighbors like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, whereby Burundi has closed its border with us. We're going to make sure that we solve all these problems using peaceful means of conflict resolution. Make sure that no country in Eastern Africa should ever cross its border again. We should be able to solve our problems amicably without resorting to crossing borders. And make sure that we empower our security services.
Well, let me step in there, Mr. Habineza, because now that you're starting to talk about the conflict, certainly with neighbors such as the DRC, the question remains why you feel that President Paul Kagame has failed to deal with tensions that essentially have even ended up seeing South Africa needing to send some of their own members of the South African National Defence Force to deal with the conflict in the DRC. So talk to us about why you think President Paul Kagame has failed to settle the dust there.
I think it's a two-way conflict, because there have been efforts by the international community, including the South African development community, whereby they have had peace talks in Angola. They have signed agreements in Nairobi and elsewhere, but these agreements are never implemented. So we think that the first thing that we are going to do is to make sure that all the peace agreements that are signed are implemented. We want to call on the role of international community, which is more now playing an observer role. So we want the international community to stop playing an observatory role, be an active actor in this conflict resolution mechanism, to put up sanctions on countries or partners who sign up agreements and never implement them. So this is the first thing, because the international community has a role to play, but they should stop being observers. Wherever a country signs up an agreement and they don't respect, there should be sanctions on this country. This will help to make sure that these agreements are solved. So this is a two-way side, not on one side.
Let me ask you this. I mean, there certainly is a lot that's been said by some structures, global organizations around human rights violations in Rwanda. I mean, you look at, for instance, work done by Human Rights Watch that speak of a political repression in Rwanda, and you know, incidents such as Ingabire Day, you know, some of those issues. And you've talked as well about what goes on in some of the Rwandan prisons. What do you say to the international community around the state of human rights in Rwanda? And if you feel, as you run for the candidacy of president, that there is political repression in Rwanda?
No, I would say that things have improved progressively. It has been very difficult even for us previously. We were even taken to campaign in a graveyard, and where we were even beaten with stones and so on. But I would say that this election has been different. You see that the level of political maturity is growing in the country. People have become more tolerant. Even the police and the army and the other forces, they're becoming more tolerant. So I think that it's story by story we're progressing. We are not in the same way we were 10 years ago or 5 years ago. I can see there's some difference. Of course, we have had issues, and that's why my strategy, the Democratic Party of Rwanda, stands for democracy, for social justice, and rule of law. Because we want to make sure that the rule of law principle is respected in this country. Yep. There are issues here and there, as I mentioned, the detention centers and so on. But you could see that we are moving forward. We're not going backward. So, but we need to do more to make sure that things get better.